Right. Welcome to the Human Rights Commission meeting. This is a regular meeting agenda for Monday, March 13, 2023. It is 5:30 p.m. and I am calling this meeting to order. So can we do a roll call?
Commissioner Vignola,
Present.
Commissioner Cleary,
Here.
Commissioner Flood,
Here.
Vice Chair Shepherd,
Muted.
Here.
Chair Loyola,
Present.
Student Representative Hanner.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the acceptance of the agenda. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Cleary made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Vignola has seconded. Do we need a vote? All those in favor, raise your hand. It looks like we have a majority. So the agenda has been accepted. And at this time, we would like to invite any of you who are here to provide public commentary. Please join and take a seat. Do we have public comments? Yes.
We do have public comments. There are speaker cards on the table. So please fill out, and if you would provide them to me when you've completed them.
We've already turned it in now. We have turned it in now. We already turned it in.
Why don't you go on and bring your speaker? Tom Swan Hernandez.
Thank you. My name is Tom Swan.
Tom,
Yes.
could you please push the little button on your microphone and speak into the microphone?
Right here.
Yeah, right there.
My name is Tom Swan Hernandez. I'm the founder and commander of American Veterans AMVETS Post 66 in Palm Springs. I'm legally blind, so please be patient with me. Our not-for-profit veteran service organization is named in memory of Gay Army soldier Frank Moulton, who was killed in World War II. In 2001, we dedicated America's first LGBTQ Veterans Memorial at the Palm Springs Cemetery District in Cedar City. It was a national news story, as our critics, like Rush Limbaugh and Michael Reagan, opposed our memorial on their national radio shows. In 2018, we asked State Assembly member Laura Garcia to introduce legislation to make our memorial a state memorial. All 5 members of Palm Springs City Council flew to the state capitol in Sacramento to lobby for this legislation. In 2019, we dedicated the California LGBTQ Veterans Memorial. This was also a national news story. California is the first and only state in the nation to have a memorial for our brave LGBTQ war dead. California has only one other state veterans memorial, and that is the Vietnam War Veterans Memorial at the state capitol. 6 American presidents and 4 California governors have sent special letters recognizing our memorial. Tonight, I wish to present a copy of President Joe Biden's letter and a coffee mug to all 6 of you. I also wish to present a framed 18 by 24-inch poster of the memorial. We ask that you please find a prominent location here at City Hall, some of the government building for the poster, so people who are not going to the memorial will see it and know where to go to find it. I'd like to also add that this memorial was dedicated in 2001. That was 9 years before the repeal of Mass Don't Tell, which meant it was a time when gays could not serve up in the military. Our critics said that gay veterans were an oxymoron. And of course, we told them about Frank Moulton, who died in World War II, and he was gay, so it's not an oxymoron. No gays have served since day one. And when we introduced it to the Palm Springs Cemetery District, 2001, they opposed it at first. And in fact, he changed the rules 4 times in 1 year, tried to block us. We persevered and finally talked them into it. And of course, today they have the memorial front page of the webpage. So I hope you'll approve this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swan, for your testimony.
Next up will be David Christian, followed by Doug Evans.
Hello, I'm David Christian, and first I'd like to thank you for, this is related to the documents tied to the statue in Frank Bogart. And I believe in January, you unanimously voted to move it on for review. But it was my understanding, and I was a planning commissioner in 25 years of architecture review here, so I kind of went through a lot of procedures. And it was my understanding that that would be coming up on this agenda, or at least a reference to it on this agenda of what's going on. And so that's kind of what I wanted to ask. I think that, as you know, well, in fact, I wrote a pretty comprehensive letter that I hope you've each read. And maybe you're seeing some of why we're upset about that document. And so we're just here partially to say that we would really appreciate it if we could see that on an agenda sometime soon, because this issue has intentionally been kicked along the road for quite a while before you all came together. So we're hoping that you will address that for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen, for your public testimony.
Mr. Evans, thank you.
And thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I too am a friend of Frank Bogart. I have taken a look at some information. We're surprised this item is not on your agenda. We'd like to have an explanation from you why, because you took action on it and it came off the agenda. We want to thank you for your hard work. At your last meeting, you had a tough meeting. You looked at a lot of material, and the comments from the majority of the commission acknowledged that there are problems with the report. We ask that you continue to do your homework, take a look at that report, and I think you'll find it's worse than you thought. The city just posted a ton of documents from section 14. I had a prepared statement. I'm going to hand you a copy of it for the record. I'm not going to use it. The documents that were posted were found somewhere at City Hall. They're the exact documents that the Attorney General in 1968 said did not exist. It's documentation of the notices of eviction signed by the Indian owners, guardians, or conservators. It's copies of the demolition permits signed by the same people. It includes the protocol that the city staff was required. That's pretty fast 3 minutes. That the city staff was required to follow as they went through the abatement process. And I've got 8 copies of that process, and it's a document from the city manager. They required affidavits of 3 people that the structures were empty and the possessions were gone, and there's photographs to back it up. Now, when the Attorney General was here in 68, the city manager said, come back, we will show you everything that you asked for. The Attorney General never came back, wrote a report, called what the city did a lot of names that aren't accurate, and the city had all those documents all these years. We think that the Human Rights Commission report probably should just be rescinded from the public record. If you look at Dr. Cray's work and then you compare it to the information that's being released, you compare it to the Desert Sun articles, you know, the Dr. Cray report at best was a compilation of selective information from that time. She quotes from a Desert Sun source and then ignores the next week's article. And only used things that met her objectives of the thesis. that information has always been here. The Desert Sun's, the section 14 story is the best place to get a quick overview. The editor of the Desert Sun wrote the story. Highly unusual, because what was being talked about publicly was not factual. And the Human Rights Commission and your goals and policies, I've said it way too many times, of all the city boards and commissions, you need to be factual. And that report is not factual. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you, the members that aren't here in the room. We're glad we're back in live meetings because factual information should be discussed over the tables. And we're willing to come back and talk to you, make presentations, because there's an awful lot of information that has been excluded purposely from the monument report. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your time.
Could you please remind us of your name for record?
No, I'm Doug Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Evans, for your testimony.
And I don't think I've been in this chair since about 2006 or 7. It's a very familiar conference room, and I'd like to be here and be able to go home instead of staying for the whole meeting. Thank you very much, and we brought some friends along. There's a few on the screen. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking to you today. You got business to take care of, and we thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Evans,
sir.
for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Amato Connell Salinas II.
Good evening, everyone, and first of all, I want to thank you for your time today and your hard work that you do. My name is Amato Connell Salinas II. I've been a resident of Palm Springs since 1962. I'm now 66. Almost 66. But the reason I'm here is my family has a name. And it's imperative that we honor that name as children. And we respect that. So when we have an individual that's impugned by a report that no one is willing to sign, no one is willing to admit who funded, it makes us, the residents of Palm Springs, wonder. Why? You each have a fiduciary responsibility as individuals to ensure that your actions are not with the masses, but for us, the residents. This is why you have that seat. So we ask of you, when you review the current report that has been proven many times to be, say, at least invalid in some areas, proven wrong in a lot of areas, and that no one is willing to sign, that you go ahead and withdraw that report. Issue a new report. You have new findings. You have factual findings. You have documentation that has now come forward. So you can really base on that. And this time, hopefully, someone will have the courage to put their name on that document and sign it and say that it's factual, instead of submitting it through a backdoor to the city that'll go ahead and take, even though no one takes claim for it. Again, Amato Connell Salinas II, longtime resident. I'm a veteran of the Navy, and I currently do serve my country in the capacity of National Legislative Council for the American Legion. We're here to honor a veteran, and when his name is impugned, we the veterans know about it, and we will stand up for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas, for your testimony.
And your service, Mr.
And your service as well.
I have no other speaker cards unless anyone else would like to speak. Any of the guests participating online, would you like to speak? Please indicate so by raising your Zoom hand. No other speakers, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jay. So moving along with the agenda, we're going to proceed to the approval of minutes for January 17, 2023 through February 13, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes by any commissioner?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Cleary has made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll go ahead and second the motion to.
Commissioner Vignolo has seconded the motion. Can we put the approval of minutes for a vote? Please raise your hand. Commissioners?
Thank you.
All right, it looks like we have a full vote and everyone supports it. So we're gonna move to approve the minutes for January 17, 2023 to February 13, 2023. I'm going to start by, and I missed this, but I should have started with chair comments before the approval of minutes, so I apologize. And I do have a few comments that I need to make. First, I wanted to start my chair comments by thanking the commission for being so active in the month of February. It was certainly a very busy month for the commission. We were able to participate in Black History Month, not just by receiving an award by the Black History Month Commission or Committee, but also by participating in the Black History Month Parade. And I wanted to thank our Vice Chair Shepherd and her entire family for joining me into that parade. It was a really nice event, and it was great to be out there in the community. We had also a very well-attended and a very positive Human Rights Commission Award ceremony in person for the first time in several years. It was great to see all of our commissioners join us in council chambers and the public for that event. We received a lot of really positive comments, so thank you again. And Commissioner Vignola was great in organizing a National Day of Reading, a celebration of stories supporting transgender and non-binary youth, which took place at the public library. And we had not just the participation of the mayor, but also we had City Council member DeHart and City Council member Middleton, thank you. Joining as well as some media. So we had some media coverage. And it was a really nice event. We wish we had a little more children, but nevertheless, it was successful and the first time we do it. So I encourage us to continue to do these community events whenever possible. So overall, a great month of February. What are we looking into March? We certainly have several things to talk about for the month of March and moving onwards. And we'll talk about those when we review our master calendar. I wanted to mention from public comments as well that you know the presentation of the poster for the AM Vets Post 66. While they're asking us to include this in some place here in City Hall, we really need to think about where would be best for us to take this message and amplify the message of this particular memorial, because it's a really important memorial. And so I encourage all of the commissioners to think how we can best help them amplify this incredible achievement. And we have letters from signed by our President Biden that made this official, and all of our council members flew to Sacramento to get this legislation passed. So this is a great achievement. And we just need to figure out how we best amplify this so that the community knows about it. And I would like to definitely include now an update on the situation with the Crays and the report. As you know, we referred the matter to our city attorney, Mr. Jeff Bellinger, who really worked to completely handle the request from the Crays. And he communicated directly with both Dr. Cray and her husband, Mr. Cray. And they agreed to add and acknowledge Dr. Cray's support and her research, her academic research. And Mr. Bellinger, who is our city attorney, had advised us to let his office completely handle the matter. And his office is completely on top. So they're definitely managing all of that on on our behalf as well. So that is the update. The city attorney is handling this moving forward. All right, so that's what I wanted to include in my comments. We're gonna move on to items for discussion and action. And we're gonna start with our items for 9A, which is the committee and liaison reports. For number 1, the executive report standing committee, we don't have anything to report at this time. For the Palm Springs, number 2, for the Palm Springs Police Department LGBT Outreach Liaison Report. We're waiting to get the dates for our next meeting, but we continue to be engaged with this particular committee and nothing major to report on this item. Number 3, the Master Calendar Liaison Report by Commissioner Vignolo. Do we have anything to report?
I don't think so, except, I don't think it's on the master calendar yet, but I'm not sure where it comes up, but one of the items for March that we just want to make the commission aware of is looking at putting on behalf of the Human Rights Commission another book reading focusing on families, different types of families. This would be, I've been working with the staff at the James O. Jesse Desert Highland Unity Center, and they've asked for this kind of presentation or reading to some of the youth on Wednesday, April 12th. That's kind of in the future, but something at least want to make the Human Rights Commission aware of, if it's something that the Human Rights Commission wants to put their support behind. I'm happy to take that on as an April event to work with the staff there to put a program together for the youth that week. But tentatively, we've set the date as Wednesday, April 12th. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Number 4, for Main Street, I am the liaison. And we really don't have anything to report other than to say that the group is meeting regularly and they're very enthusiastic about seeing economic development coming back and businesses coming back and the public coming back to events, but nothing else to report on Main Street at the time. For Organized Neighborhoods of Palm Springs, our liaison is Commissioner Vignolo. Do we have anything to report?
Well, tomorrow's the next 1PS membership meeting at the Police Training Center. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend, so if any other commissioner would like to, of course, it's open to the public. Will be at 4:30 at the Police Training Center, 200 South Civic Drive. The last meeting, which was held there, February 14th, there were several reports from various city staff and police, but really nothing particularly relevant to the Human Rights Commission itself. The only thing, again, to mention, the 1PS community picnic will be on March 25th, 2023. And I've already submitted the appropriate paperwork for us to have a table there that I think, if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner or Student Representative Hammer, is she still on? Anna, right?
Upper right.
Lily, I think said she might be able to be at the table with me, but of course, anybody else who wants to staff the table with us. I don't know if we can get the banner for the table or the table skirt or something to identify
Yeah.
who we are.
So sign me up, because I'll be there and I have access to both the banner and the table skirt.
Okay.
What
And of
day
course,
is this happening?
March 23rd. 23rd?
March
Oh.
25th.
25th.
Yes, it's a week from Saturday, right? The 18th is Saturday, and 25th would be the following week.
Hmm.
Saturday, the 25th, 1 week from Saturday. So if you can come out, hopefully it'll be a fun event. There'll be a lot of other organizations there and hopefully members of the community.
I wanted to attend that event last year. Unfortunately, personal matters didn't allow me to, but I understand it's a fantastic community outreach event. So I encourage everyone who are able to join, even if it's for a little while, to just show up at the park. It takes place in
Wasn't it Ruth Hardy Park?
Ruth Hardy Park, I believe. That's what it is.
And it's the one PS.
One
It's the
PM.
one PS community picnic, so. All the different neighborhood organizations, many of them will have their own tables and be present. It's really an opportunity for one PS organization to interact with the community of residents, to get them more engaged and let them know more about one PS, but they opened it up to, there'll be no vendors, no like commercial vendors, but organizations and commission boards, committees of the city can have a table there, 2 chairs at no cost, because we're a city commission. So it's another opportunity for us in a venue to get, I think, visibility with residents throughout the city of Palm Springs. Let them know we exist and what we do, and how we can engage with them.
And thank you, Susan, for posting that in the chat. We can see that you validated. It is Rudy Hart Park. So thanks for chiming in. Much appreciated. All right, moving along. We move on to the Desert Highland Gateway States Community Association report. We have Commissioners Flood and Vice Chair Shepherd. Do we have anything to report?
Mr. Chair, I have nothing to report on that. Just to echo about the picnic coming up, just FYI, last year, Commissioner Amaran and I held down the tent for the commission. It was last year. It is a fun event, and there's good food there too. So I encourage everyone who can make it, do come out. That's all I have.
We hope you're going to join us this year as well, right?
I'm going to try to be there.
If nothing for the food.
Right.
Thank you, Commissioner Glenn. That's great. All right, veterans issues. Do we have anything to report, Commissioners Flood and Mignolo?
I have nothing. I guess we all will be trying to decide where the memorial in the city hall will be regarding the military. So I have nothing else.
All right, we'll open up that discussion when we get to comments, but certainly I would like for everyone to think about what would be the best way to help these folks amplify that message for the memorial. The next item on the agenda is number 8, Youth Education Affairs Standing Committee. Student Representative Hanner, Vice Chair Shepherd, and Commissioner Vignolo. Do we have anything to report?
Well, we did have a meeting on January 30th, right? And the primary focus of that meeting was, of course, to talk about the National Day of Reading that we had in February, which was, as the chair noted, was a good start, successful. We did have some visibility. In the presentation that I'll be doing on the mature adults group presentation, you'll see there's a video clip from the media coverage of that event. But as a result of that, in promoting the National Day of Reading, I did have an opportunity to talk with the Boys and Girls Club of Palm Springs. As you may recall, I think it was last year, they had reached out to us and asked if we could work with them on coming up with some kind of a program for the youth there. We asked them at that time to identify at least probably three significant or major themes that we could focus on out of the myriad number of issues that they wanted to discuss. And then it kind of just went by the wayside. So fortunately, I did talk to them, and they are now interested in having us partner with them. So I said that would be great, and hopefully we can put something together in the next several months. But I'm waiting to hear back from the youth coordinator at the Boys and Girls Club in Palm Springs. So hopefully something will come out of that.
Do you need anything from us, the commission, at this point? No.
No, I mean, really the ball is in their court. I said, we're happy to help. I think they're going through some renovations right now of their facility. And so if I don't hear anything in the next couple of weeks, I'll reach back out to them and see if they want to move ahead with it. But they seemed hopeful. So that's an encouraging sign.
Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. So that's the youth education affairs. Moving on to point number 9, A9 mediation. Do we have anything to report on mediation?
No, I do not.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, Chair, wanted to let you know that I started the mediation training this month. Went Tuesday and Thursday of this past week. And after 3 more weeks, I will be certified to do mediation here in Palm Springs and small claims court, and will be joining my friend Lynn Flood in that endeavor. And so we'll have yet another authorized mediator on our commission.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Shepherd, for doing that. That's terrific. Thank you for reporting on that. Number 10 on that particular item is the Equity and Social Justice Committee liaison update. Shepherd or Commissioner Ramran is not here, but Vice Chair Shepherd, do we have anything to report on this?
Nothing to report. We thought we got started. We had a meeting and haven't heard anything now for a couple of months. So uncertain what the status of that group is at this.
Okay, thank you. So item, this is item 9B. It's a review of mature adults group presentation by Commissioner Vignolo.
I don't know if we can share it, but before we do that, Chair, I forgot to mention that when I spoke to Jarvis Crawford, who's the community center manager at the James O. Jesse Desert Highland Unity Center. In addition to the program that he asked about putting on in the April timeline, which the reason we picked April 12th was, I guess that's a non-school day. So there'll be youth in the community center. When I met with him to talk about doing some different types of things with the youth there and with the staff and other members that utilize that facility, one thing we talked about doing is in the summer, during the summer camp, I think be late June, July, August timeline. We talked about doing a week-long kind of program sponsored by the Human Rights Commission. We would try to get the kids to do some kind of crafts and arts and crafts and come up with like boards or any kind of visual presentation that they wanted. We wouldn't, restrict them to anything, but the focus would be on the theme of human rights. Maybe assign different groups of teens a specific aspect of human rights and have them do the research, do the development. I modeled this after a program I went to, it was, I think out in Indio. They did a group of students, middle-aged students, middle school students, did a presentation on human rights, and it was really well done, and I thought, how creative. Well, you know, just to give them a topic and let them run with it, but be there to facilitate, like they had their teacher was the facilitator and advisor and kind of shepherd the effort, but the work was all done by the kids. The end of the week, they presented what they had put together to the fellow students, parents, community members. And I thought this would be a really good program to bring here and do. And I thought the summer camp would be a great opportunity for us to work with Jarvis and his staff and the kids during their summer camp. To educate them about human rights and the Human Rights Commission, and then reward them by some kind of presentation. So we're still figuring out the mechanics behind it, but I think it would be an excellent opportunity for us to do something in the summer with that group, if the commission wants to pursue it. It's gonna take some work, because we're gonna have to get engaged with these students, and I know people have summer plans. But I wanted to at least throw this out for discussion, maybe at the next meeting. Talk to Jarvis if it's something we collectively want to endorse and pursue with them.
So preliminary, what are we calling this particular event?
Well, it's like the one in the summer camp. We haven't really came up with a name yet, but it's just like a human rights week, if you will. So we would maybe give, again, depending on the number of students or kids, I should say, that are in the summer camp, and I'd have to get that number from Jarvis, how we want to divide them up, maybe into teams. We could give them a theme and say, this is, we want you to talk about human rights as it applies to, kids or students, or, just give them a broad topic and let them come back to us with some kind of report, presentation, whatever they want to do. We want to make it fun. We want to make it educational. So we kind of have to, I need to sit down with Jarvis and his staff, and maybe with some of the Youth Education Affairs Committee members or other commissioners. And I think we can, try to come up with a week-long program that would be fun for the kids, but also educational and help us engage them in our work, because they are our future.
So I see student Lily has her hand raised. Lily.
Just for timeline purposes and stuff like that, just to keep in mind, school normally starts, at least it has for me, it has started even in middle school and elementary school, we normally start early August. I think this year, our first day was the 10th. So just keep that in mind. It'd probably be best to stay within June or July for that. I also know that for me, my last day of school for high school is June 9th. And I think a lot of the other elementary schools and middle schools are roughly around that same time period. So keep that in mind, I would say. And then the event in April, the 12th, is during spring break. So spring break, at least for me, is 2 weeks. It's the week prior and the week following Easter. Easter Sunday is April 9th. So April 12th would be during that break. If we wanted to do other things during that time as well with the youth subcommittee, that would also be good to keep in mind as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why I have the district calendar, Lily, through June 2023. Jarvis gave it to me, so we picked the 12th, Wednesday the 12th, because you're right, it falls within that 2 weeks in April that are non-school days. That would be a very short, like 1 hour kind of reading with the students or the kids that are in the community center. See, the last day of instruction, you're right, is Friday, June 9th. And the first day of instruction this past year was August 10. So I think when I talked to Jarvis, he also mentioned doing this summer camp or this week-long human rights program during their summer camp in July. So we just have to, I didn't want to go too far into with him on committing the Human Rights Commission to anything that's like a week-long program.
Wait, you don't wanna be there from 9 to 5 for a week with the kids, you know?
Well, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know, we have to come, I probably need to. You know, I'm happy to sit down and kind of do a proposal for a week-long summer camp human rights program. But it's gonna involve multiple days.
I can work with you on that idea.
I don't think we have to be there, 9 to 5, but we wanna be available to the kids.
For interviews or whatever.
Exactly. To
Right.
guide them, to offer suggestions, to kind of move it along, with the goal being that on that Friday, the last day of the week, they would make their presentations.
Right.
I would hope as many of the Human Rights Commission members could be present, maybe with the city officials if they're available, to see what they've produced and, kind of do a first, third place, second place, first place. Of course, everybody's a winner, but
It could be like.
acknowledge what they've done that whole week.
There was last year, there was a program where they asked for volunteers. Jay, I think you sent out an email last year where there was a school in Indio that was asking for volunteers on the Human Rights Commission to be interviewed by students
Right.
about their discrimination.
That's the hope. That's the one I was referring to when I went out there to see what they had done based on the
Right.
interviews, because I was one of the commissioners that
Okay,
was interviewed. And when I went out to the elementary school to see the work they did, it was amazing presentation. They had put together the storyboards, they had laptops running with clips of various human rights officials and people that,
So
had
they
some
learned
connection to
something.
human rights. They did an amazing job and were recognized for their work. And I thought this would be a great tool to take back. And if we could facilitate something similar.
like maybe the Mr. Hernandez Swan and he could explain what the AMVETS memorial was and who Frank Moulton was. And they could interview him about what's Frank Moulton, who's the veteran, how did he become the first gay veteran memorial? I think that would be a great story.
I just think we have, the format of it, we can work out the details, but if we're willing to work with the community center to sponsor this type of week-long program and help them and help the kids do the work, but we have to be provide that support.
Okay.
Then I think it would be a great program and partnership with this group.
Sure.
With great results, but.
Mhm.
That's, again, it would be in July, we don't have a specific week. But, I'm happy to put something together if you all think this is a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah. So we could certainly put this in the agenda for our next meeting, and if you, Mr. Vignola and Commissioner Curry could work together, figuring out a little bit of the logistics, what this might look like. Come up with a little more concrete ideas. About the potential outcomes, how do we get the community engaged? How do we reach out to the schools, maybe possibly the school district? to get them to participate, that would be great. This would be certainly a wonderful program. It sounds like it's a great idea, but again, it's us working on and sweating out the details and the planning.
Literally sweating.
Literally sweating.
July.
It's gonna be July. And so that's gonna be really important, right? So, you know, the venue.
Well, everything would be done at the community center, the
Right.
unity
Okay.
center. Yeah, that's where the kids are.
And then-
One thing we did talk about is maybe doing some kind of off-site trip for some of the kids, perhaps to the Tolerance Education Center.
So that's gonna be really important to define, because now we're starting to talk about things that may require us to figure out a budget. And I just wanna remind everyone that we don't have a budget and the city does
I
not.
thought it was an endless budget, Jay.
And so
No.
I wanna make sure that everyone understands that the city does not have a budget for commissions in that respect. So when it comes down to, you know, expenditures, we better figure out where that.
But we have personnel. And that's, I think, what they're looking for.
Okay.
Parks and Recreation has the vehicles that they could use to transport kids during the week
Mhm.
from point A to point B, but what they lack, at least if I understood Mr. Crawford, is the chaperones or the people that could be, you know, on the vehicle with the kids and setting up the field trip to whether it's the Tolerance Education Center or some other human rights entity where they could learn about human rights in the big picture and then take that back with them and incorporate it into their presentation, if you will.
Okay.
So that seemed viable to me. I'd certainly be willing to, you know, sit on a bus with them. I'm not gonna pay for the bus, but
very brave.
I'll pay. So
Right.
more to come.
So help us with the details, but that's a great idea, so thank you for that. Now,
Now,
we're
this,
moving on to the mature adults presentation.
which I think everybody was sent the hard copy, so this is a different group, these are not kids, these are these are mature adults. It's what they call themselves, they meet at the Unity Center I believe it's every week, but every other week. They invite groups to come in and, you know, engage with these mature adults however they want to. And so Jarvis thought, well, you know, if you're interested in doing a presentation on human rights to our mature adults group, that would be great. So I put together this PowerPoint presentation and I don't know if I guess we're gonna go through it. I welcome any feedback, constructive feedback. It will be on. When is it scheduled? March. 22nd. Right.
Question, how do we come up with that? How do we come up with these dates? There's two events now planned during that week that I'm just hearing about tonight. And that's coming up quickly. Who decided on those dates?
Commissioner Vignola?
Well, this presentation was based on the fact that the mature adults group only meets on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday when they invite external groups to come in. So I was limited by their calendar and my calendar really. And so I threw out several dates to Jarvis and his assistant who puts together their calendar for this, what events are being held at the Unity Center. And this was the best date that worked for all parties. That's how this one came up. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, and I think it's absolutely terrific that you're coming up with these projects. Commissioner Vanolo, we have lacked forward movement on this commission for a while, so I salute you for taking the initiative and doing all of this stuff. But I wanna, you know, I think all of us as commissioners need to be as involved as possible in these activities, and for us to be able to do that, we might need more than a week's notice to fit it in with our calendar. The two events that are coming up next week, of course, is the week that I have a 5-day vacation out of the country, so I can't do either of them, so it's a little bit of my issue. But also, I just think everybody needs to have a little bit of, you know, time to look at the dates, because there are things I think a lot of us would enjoy participating.
Sure. I should correct myself, because this particular event is Wednesday, March 29th.
Okay, all right.
So just to correct the record, it's Wednesday, March 29, 10 a.m. to 12 is when the mature adults group meets. So I sent them several Wednesdays, and I think when I met with Jarvis, the thought was, let's try to do something in March, let's try to do something in April, and then try to do the summer camp week-long program in July. But you know, in planning the event, I had to go with a date that worked for the center, for the mature adults program, and for myself, since I was going to be doing the presentation.
Tell me the times again, please, on the
10
29th.
a.m. to 12 noon on Wednesday, March 29th.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Gariana, I would love to see your presentation.
Okay. So I just assumed that this group, mature adults, know nothing about human rights or the Human Rights Commission. So I wanted to first introduce them to who we are, which is the second slide. Pretty basic information about who we are currently. You know, try to limit it to 3 to 4 bullets per slide. When I met with Jarvis, it was actually on a day that the mature adults was meeting. And so I did meet some of the mature adults, what they call themselves. So they're lovely, and they were doing crafts, and he thought they'd be interested in learning more about who we are, what we do. He said, be prepared for some tough questions. So that was all I could gather from our brief conversation. So I wanted to start out by letting them who we are, and then talking about, you know, the duties of the Human Rights Commission. I took this primarily from the duties as they're defined in the municipal code, extracted what I thought were the most significant duties of the Human Rights Commission. And then I just kind of wanted to share with the group some of our accomplishments. So I included the 2 videos, YouTube videos. One is, of course, this picture I think comes from our website. It's not something I have.
Yeah, it's an older picture that's on the website. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and we can replace it with something else if we want, but you know, since we tend to be in a lot of parades, I included this photo that was on a stock photo on our website. Then the next one is the video. I don't know if it will, I think it will work. So this video is actually from News Channel 3. It was taken on the National Day of Reading in February.
Well, today the Palm Springs Public Library hosted an event ahead of National Day of Reading. The books highlighted gender identity in children, and News Channel 3's Miyoshi Price went to the event and learned how Valley parents plan to incorporate gender identity conversations in their households. Miyoshi?
Hi, Marion. The Palm Springs Human Rights Commission chose community leaders and Mayor Grace Gardner to read children's books in the library's youth room, which spoke to gender identity awareness among youth. The event was called a celebration of stories supporting transgender and non-binary youth.
You know, when I was growing up and I was a kid, we didn't have any books like that.
Matt Kavanaugh's family attended the National Day of Reading at the Palm Springs Library. These books were read at the event. They brought awareness to transgender and non-binary youth.
I thought it was really important that kids now can start to get a different perspective. Maybe it's their perspective, maybe it's a perspective people they know have.
Palm Springs Mayor Grace Gardner read to children and community leaders. Her book was titled When Aiden Became a Big Brother.
Through the book, he talks about what he wants to do as a big brother, but you never actually hear what the gender of the baby is going to be, because this little boy in the book, Aiden, he knew what it was like to be called a girl when he was really a boy.
In a National Library of Medicine article, it states 82% of transgender individuals have considered suicide and 40% have attempted suicide, with suicidality highest among transgender youth.
There are long-term health effects to mental, emotional stability impacts when people are not able to live their lives as they are. We know that there are higher rates of suicide among transgender folks, and a lot of that is because of the discrimination that they face.
Kavnar says he may not get it right all the time, but he will keep learning.
Somebody's going to have the conversations, whether it's a friend, another person, or most likely someone on YouTube, or even an artificial intelligence on YouTube. You never know. So it's up to you to be the door into the world they're going out into.
Mayor Gardner says if we create an environment where all of our children feel loved, no matter their gender identity, she believes that that's going to lower suicide rates among children. She says in a quote, "We all can create a healthier, happier society." Live in studio, Miyoshi Price, News Channel 3.
So I mean, my purpose of putting that particular video in, I think, for me, it illustrated that we are, as a Human Rights Commission, out there doing something, that we put this program together for one piece of our community to promote human rights, particularly among transgender and non-binary citizens in our community. And Jarvis made a point to say that this particular audience appreciates seeing things on a screen. So, you know, aside from slides, having something that they can watch would be engaging for them. This actually is a photo I took when I went to that exhibition of the 5th grade class at Ben Franklin in La Quinta, after those two students had interviewed me and put together that presentation on human rights and what it meant to them, what they had learned about human rights. And that was the driver behind my desire to bring something like that program here in the summer, and that engage our kids during their summer camp to do something like that. So I want to include that photo. And then the next one, of course, you're all familiar with this. It's a picture of us at the Black History Award Gala in February. You left early. And then just kind of selected some other work that we've done over the years. I won't read you all the individual bullets, but they're there, and I can amend this if anyone feels strongly about including something else or taking something out.
So I do have just a few comments. I think this is great, by the way, and I think it's absolutely needed, and congratulations again for really pursuing this. I think that the slide that talks about our duties, when we talk about examples and then we give them a long link for them to look online, if we could simplify this language a little bit to make it, more digestible. We're talking to an older, senior, group. And, if you give them a long URL, they might just go, "Psh, we don't know what that means." I think the examples of, the discriminatory practices and proactively address current tensions, we can just mention some of this without going into too much detail. So that would be my only comments there. More digestible content on the slides. I think the video is great. I think the photo of you attending Ben Franklin is fantastic. It shows that we're out there in the community. I absolutely love the photo of us receiving our Black History Awards award and designation. And unfortunately, Commissioner clearly left a little too early for that. He would have been in the photo. Yes, exactly. Love the stuff about what other work we've done because it shows the wide range of things that we have been involved. I'm a little unclear about the slide where how are older people's human rights often denied. I don't know if you're using this to kind of talk about specific rights that older people are denied.
Yeah. We can play it. I mean, it's not.
But this is a video.
It's a video.
Oh, okay.
And I found this, it's in the public domain, so because the group, mature adults, are older people, I wanted to kind of end the presentation tying into human rights that really would be meaningful for them. I'll preface it by saying it does have an international focus, but I think at least
it's applicable.
Will help them understand that even though they're mature adults, they have human rights.
Absolutely.
And that's what my goal was, trying to find something that made the connection between human rights, but particularly because what they're seeing here, young kids, they may think, oh, human rights, what does it mean to me? I'm 90 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
But it does.
We are all born with the same human rights, and we should enjoy them at every stage of our lives. But we live in a world of negative stereotypes towards older people and older age. This ageism drives discrimination and the denial of human rights in older age across every aspect of life. We are all living longer. This is one of the major success stories of global development. By looking at a selection of countries across the world and plotting the percentage of people aged over 60 since 1950, we can see that the proportion of older people as part of the broader population is increasing everywhere. The size of the bubble represents the actual number of people aged over 60. Whilst this change happened gradually and over many decades in countries like Australia and the United Kingdom, this demographic shift is happening much faster in low and middle income countries such as Brazil and India, with most countries rapidly reaching the same percentage of older people as high income countries. Our human rights do not change as we get older and populations age. Let's look at some examples. Almost half of older people globally do not receive a pension, rising to 3 out of 4 in low and middle income countries. For many of those who do receive a pension, the benefit level is often low and inadequate. People aged over 60 account for 71% of deaths from non-communicable diseases in low and middle income countries, yet global targets and indicators actively exclude older people by focusing on younger age groups. In these countries, more than 43% of older people live with a disability as a result of an accumulation of health risks from disease, injury, and chronic illness across the life course. Older people experience different types of violence and abuse, yet data is often only collected about women up to the age of 49. Older people are disproportionately impacted during emergencies. Only 2% of humanitarian expenditure responds directly to older people's needs. older people are being denied the long-term support and assistance they need. Only 5.6% of the world's population lives in a country with national legislation providing universal entitlements to long-term support and assistance. The current international human rights system has failed older people. Age discrimination is only explicitly prohibited in 1 out of the 9 UN human rights treaties. Older people continue to be subjected to ageism and discrimination and denied their rights. Protecting and promoting older people's rights in national laws and policies and in a potential new UN Convention on the Rights of Older Persons can change this. To create a world where we all enjoy our rights, whatever our age and at every stage of life.
So that's a great video, and we should show it. That's fantastic.
And I really just wanted to use it to start a conversation with them, to let them know we're listening as a Human Rights Commission, and we're here to help them.
Yes.
And that leads into my final slide, which is, what can we do to help you? What are the issues you're facing?
Yep.
Let's have a conversation to hear from our mature adults in our community.
I absolutely love it, and I think this is great. Couple final comments from me on this. The Riverside County has a Department of Services for the Elderly, and we need to figure it out where that information lives, and if we can get some very specific, like printed materials, Jay. Because I know for a fact that they have a department that offers services for the elderly, and that's important. And Commissioner Viñuela, this is great. The only thing I would say, I would love to see the brand added to the slides, our logo. This logo,
Oh, I can, well,
yeah, that's an easy,
we can put it on the title slide.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy.
that's easy peasy. But overall, I think this is great stuff, and the fact that we're engaging with this group of people that we haven't done much work with, I think is terrific. Yes, Commissioner Flood. You're muted, Commissioner Flood.
I was just typing, I have to leave the meeting, I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyone else?
I was going to, I like the resources, commentary for that as well as educational. I'm not sure if it'll scare the older folks, but I think it brings up a conversation that maybe they hadn't thought of before, so it's good. And on the duties, Chairman was discussing regarding in our agenda is the Human Rights Commission's goals, and I think we can borrow from there to as bullets, if we're looking for bullets. But one of the bullets is to investigate and mediate instances of discrimination.
Yeah, absolutely.
To bring persons and groups together in common support of human rights issues and to promote diversity through or how about just to promote diversity? Those can be the duties of the Human Rights Commission, and just simple little bullets that you can just take right out of our agenda and pop it in there to simplify things.
Yes, absolutely. I
Do
agree
you
with
think
that.
I should take out the reference to where you find the complaint of discrimination?
I like that, but I'm not sure how they're gonna access that click, the hyperlink. I think you can put, the hyperlink is so long, I don't think anybody could write that down. But you can tell them, citizens can file complaints of discrimination on our website.
Just leave it like that.
Just leave it like that.
That's fine.
Because otherwise they're slash right.
It is kind of buried on our website. But our website needs some work. And that's another project for another day.
Yeah, if we bring some printed materials, we should be able to leave this information behind, right? And so.
Is that a printed document? Is the complaint of discrimination form, which precedes me as a commissioner, is that available in hard copy? Or is it only available on the website?
All I've seen is online on the website.
Let's find out, yeah.
Okay, I'll click
I
on it.
don't even know who made it. but it must have been a previous.
Maybe one of
human
our
rights-
online viewers can click on it and see. Here's by clicking.
Okay.
But yeah, any kind of material I can bring with me to leave for this group and for the staff, I mean. I think they'd be more than happy to put our material out. I just don't have access to it.
Sure. All right, thank you very much for that presentation, Commissioner
Okay.
Vignolo.
And I'm feeding them, so
Good for
that
you.
should engage them. but
Good for you.
I could show up and there'd be nobody there. I don't have any clue how many mature adults will be there, so.
So moving along, item 9, C, which is potential partnerships. I just want to bring everyone to speed. That the applications for basic income, or also known as universal UBI income, start on March 15, and this is applications for basic income for members of the transgender, non-binary community, and everyone's encouraged to apply. What we know from what has been reported in the media is that folks that apply and are approved will receive $800 in cash payments for 18 months to help 30 individuals. We know from the report that QueerWorks and DAP Health will be processing these applications, and they're asking applicants to be clients of their organizations. And that the big requirement is that folks that are applying should earn less than $16,600 per year, and that they should either live, work, or spend a majority of their day in the city. This is what we know from what's been reported. I would encourage us to definitely monitor this, since we already have established very good relationships with QueerWorks. One of us should start developing relationships with DAP Health to just follow on, who's applying and who's getting these cash payments, because I believe that there is a human rights component to this, and we knew about it last year, but it wasn't clear. But it sounds like this is here and it's happening. So I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed with that. Okay. And then also to mention that the Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast will take place on Thursday, May 11th, 2023. The general admission is $75 per person. We can also sponsor a student for $65, or we can buy a table for 10 for $750. So if we have enough support from the entire commission and we each think about bringing someone else, we might want to consider buying a table. This is an event that we haven't participated recently as a commission. I had the opportunity to be there last year, and it was a really terrific event that also celebrates our youth, our LGBTQ youth. And we would like obviously for all of our commissioners to consider joining, and when we can coordinate getting a table if we have enough support. And we certainly would like to have Lily Hanner joining us. We'll figure out a way to make sure that she is part of this event, and not just as a student representative, but I think as a member of our Human Rights Commission. You should be there, Lily. We'll figure it out how to make sure you're there, okay? So again, this is a part of, looking at certain groups and organizations that we haven't fully engaged in the past or recently. And then I think we should definitely look a little bit more closely. So that's my comments for D. Any other commissioners, staff, or student comments, please?
Mr. Chair, I would just, Mr. Chair, I would just like to report to the group that Commissioner Ramaran's term has ended. So he is no longer a member of the Human Rights Commission.
Okay, thank you for that update. And we want to go on public to thank Commissioner Ramaran for his service to this commission. He's definitely going going to be missed, and he was a very active member of the commission for many years, so just to go on record to say thank you, Commissioner Ramran, for all your hard work. We certainly appreciate it, and we wish you the very best in your new endeavors. So that's what I would like to say for that. Any other comments?
I had a couple.
Go for it.
So first one is I'm sorry, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he talked about the I think he was talking about the LGBTQ Veterans Memorial.
Tom Juan
Is that
Hernandez.
memorial here in Palm Springs?
It's in Cathedral City.
Oh, I don't think he ever mentioned the actual location.
I was gonna ask him, he had a picture of it.
I know, I was like, where is it? It's a good.
As you're driving down on Gene Autry and
Gene Autry. That could be.
I think it's the border.
the border. Gene Autry, and what is this other intersection that's really heavy with cars? Is it Ramon?
Yeah. With the Home Depot and the Lowe's and all that stuff. there?
Yes, and there's a 7-Eleven at the corner.
Oh, no.
It's a very big intersection, and right off the right, on the 4th of July and on Veterans Day, they raised a lot of American flags to celebrate the LGBT folks that serve and that serve this country.
I'm
And-
pretty sure that's Ramon and Date Palm.
Dave Palm, thank you, Lily.
Can't drive yet, but I know my streets.
Thank you so much for that. So that is the intersection, and that's where it is. Now, they're asking us obviously to figure out if we can find a place for this poster here and the city. And we certainly can have a conversation with our city staff liaison.
Has the audience seen it? Maybe we can hold it up and they can see it.
Can you maybe put it
There's a
against
camera, I think, over there.
against the owl and talk? You might want to talk.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Can you see it? I don't know if they can see it.
The little it's a little obelisk.
Obelisk, yeah, it is, yeah.
Wow, wow.
Okay, so yes, we can certainly have a conversation through our city liaison to figure out if there's a place here in
Thank you,
City
Jay.
Hall. Thank you, Jay. But the question is, what else can we do as commission to put the word out? I mean, it's going on public record on today's meeting. You all seen it. Any thoughts about what we could do to spread the word about this memorial?
Definitely put it on our website. I mean, I didn't even know about it until this gentleman.
We can
talked
ask
about it.
AMVETS to give us a biography of who this guy is, and we could put that on the website. You know, famous veterans memorialized in Palm Springs or in the desert. But I don't know, I'm afraid I'm ignorant as to who Frank Moulton is and what he did, but it would be a good story.
I mean, this would be a great thing to have at the table that we're having at the one PSP.
Yes.
I could bring it with me to the summer camp.
There you go.
Share it with the kids.
Now we're
I
talking.
mean, we
Use
could
it as
we
a
could
tool.
we could do something that like is Desert X style. You know how Desert X, they release a map every year of different art pieces and then you can like tour around the valley. Not only does that bring people into the valley for tourism and it shows them like what it is like in the valley, but it shows you all these art pieces. Thinking of putting something like that on the website, I think we could, if we wanted to put in the extra work, what if we did kind of like a like around the valley, like all of these different memorials, like for if there's a bunch of different like veteran memorials, could we put something together there if you wanted to look at just those, or LGBTQ memorials if you wanted to look at just those, and so on. If we wanted to put it on our website in a way where we could like make it fun for people, make it kind of a thing to do on a Saturday morning, just to get people out to not only see this one, which is, you know, a great memorial to look at, but also other ones in the valley that people might not even realize. Because I'm sure there are plenty, even art pieces in Palm Springs or in the valley as its own that a lot of us don't even know of. I'm sure there are many that I don't even know of. So, I mean, if we could make that a little more interactive, maybe, and include more than just that one, but also all these other ones that are equally as important, I think that would be really cool.
Of those ideas. Thank you, Lily. Anyone else?
I wanted to ask if, I guess this is directed to Jay. Do any boards, commissions, committees have any role or opportunity to participate in the 85th anniversary celebration for Palm Springs on April 8th? Do you know? I couldn't really tell from the press release.
Yeah, I don't know. Just looks like a big celebration.
I think there's a band, a parade,
I don't
maybe.
know.
I'm not
I saw it in
sure.
the paper.
I have not seen it.
I mean, I don't think the Human Rights Commission's been around for 85 years, but
No, we're not 30 years.
I don't know even how to ask the question or to whom to ask the question, or if it's just not envisioned as part of the celebration.
Just depends on who's organizing it.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know who's the
try to find out.
organizer, quite honestly, but
Mhm.
and then finally. Based on the public comments this evening, I don't anticipate that they're going to stop commenting until something definitive is addressed by this commission regarding the report of the previous Human Rights Commission or some of the previous members of the Human Rights Commission. I don't know that they'd be assuaged by saying, well, it's in the hands of the city attorney to address Cray's letter. So I'm throwing this out as,
So
I think it's gonna keep coming up until the commission either puts it on the agenda and has a robust discussion about it. That's my personal opinion.
So with regard to the craze, this is no longer an issue because the attorney's already addressed it with them. And his office is handling it. Okay,
Right.
so we can all now say that is taken care of. I agree with Commissioner Vigneault. I think a lot of folks will continue to cry foul with the situation, and I really don't know how to find an answer to the issue, and this might be something that we will continue to discuss ad nauseum. I did have an opportunity to ask the attorney if we would decide to rescind such a document, what would be the steps? What would be the steps? What would be the process? And he was very clear to say that this is not easy, that it was probably better handled again by the city at this point. But you know, that's a conversation that needs to continue to be taking place through the city attorney, since he's the one and his office is the one that is now handling all of this moving forward. As a commission, obviously, if there's a resolution that it's amenable and there's a decision that is made, say, for example, to rescind such a document, obviously, we would like to communicate that to the public, but I want us to be very, very, very careful with regards to how we commissioners talk about this and how we respond to this, given that the city attorney is now involved. Lily.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that I feel like on your comment on people consistently coming to the commission about it and kind of seemingly being upset. I do feel like that will eventually fade away in time when this document is dealt with in a way. Obviously, when there is a resolution that has been actively seen, then I feel like a lot of the public is going to be a lot more eased about it. I don't remember his name. There was one gentleman, I think it was one of the last people to come up, where he was talking about how it seemed as though he was hurt, that his trust had been violated in a way, in the sense that I feel like as a commission, especially with human rights, we have a larger responsibility in the sense that a lot of people are looking to us for a lot of different things. And for us as a commission, with whoever put the name on that document, whoever wrote it, it doesn't really matter anymore. But as a commission, we released something that was false or incorrect. And I feel like because of that, it put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth, which is absolutely understandable. A lot of people I feel that a lot of people find a distrust in that. And I think that once we show that either we amend the document, that it's been completely corrected, or completely just taken back and redone, or taken back and not even touched ever again, I think that will be very well like subdued in a way. Like I feel like the public comment on it will stop, because the common denominator here is people are upset that something was released that wasn't correct. So until either we fix those corrections or we remove the document completely, I feel like that's what people are going to continue to be upset. I understand that it's difficult for us on the end that we've given this task to somebody else, and now people are still asking us what's happening and we don't know anymore. But I think it is necessary to keep on public record that it's out of our hands now, but that a resolution is definitely trying to be made. A resolution is definitely trying to, like, some sort of compromise or conclusion is like near, just within its own time.
Thank you, Lily.
If I can add to her comments, Chair. I mean, I think I understand what you're saying, Lily. I think I agree with you. I think that this will not go away until the commission either decides to rescind it or amend it or leave it as is, and just makes that clear statement to the public. That's a different question than the city manager, the city attorney handling the craze objections to how their work was represented in the original report. That's what I'm hearing from the public, is that we want you, Human Rights Commission, to either fix the report, rescind the report. And they're going to keep coming until they hear from us. Are you going to do something to it or you're not?
Right.
And I think we just have to put it on the agenda for public discussion, have a motion, take a vote, get on the record.
Because I think
That's
that, the procedural aspect of it. Procedurally, it was a report that was adopted by the commission. Then it was recommended that the city adopt it, and then the city voted to adopt it. Am I wrong?
They didn't vote, I don't
The
think.
city did not adopt.
Well, what was that long, hours-long hearing that we went to, where they spent hours and hours and hours?
Yeah,
And then at the end of it, they said,
thank you, but
they never acted on it, so it's never been adopted by the city.
It's in the records, but the city didn't actually adopted it, and there was nothing that the city moved with the content of the report, so it just is in the archives.
Well, one of the gentlemen, I see a hand raised, and we're gonna call on the hand in a second, but let me finish my commentary. The gentleman suggested that the Palm Springs newspaper had done a kind of an article about the history of Section 14 that he thought was balanced or whatever. I think I remember reading it, I can't remember exactly. There was a lot of stuff published, and the report was very lengthy, and all the exhibits were lengthy, and it was hard. There was a lot of material. I'm not looking forward to going through each and every item from the report to vote on whether it should be rescinded or retracted or corrected. But that's the kind of work that it would take to correct that report. If you'd have to go through each and everything and say, where's the support for it? It would be nice if somebody from the Palm Springs Historical Society, some neutral third party could say, Section 14, give the history, what happened. Some sides anger, something that some neutrally third party with historical.
that's that's what you'd want to do with it. So I guess I'm asking the commission, do we want to do anything with this report?
Vice Chair Shepherd has her hand. She wants to talk.
I feel like if this matter has been referred to the city attorney for them to handle, anytime in my experience that something like that occurs, then really the implication is they want us to not continue to discuss it and not continue to be involved in it, that it's something that really needs to rest with the city attorney. I don't think we any longer have the ability or the right to respond to it, and I think our discussions are not necessarily helpful in that regard. So until they give us some feedback on what direction they're going or what else they may want us to do, I think we ought to kind of table the issue and accept the fact that people will continue to come forward, and we will have to unfortunately say it's against the city attorney.
Well, then I would like to make a motion to the Human Rights Commission that we table any further discussion about that report and go on public record so the public knows we will not talk about this until we are given further guidance. I think that would address the concerns that were expressed by the public this evening.
Yep.
And if we don't do that simple action of tabling all further discussion on that report, they're gonna keep coming and saying, when is it gonna be on the agenda? When is it gonna be on the agenda? What are you doing about it? So
Yep.
I'm willing to make that motion.
I understand that motion, but I think that the attorney is dealing with the copyright infringement claims that copyright infringement claims are not what these people are here for. They are here because they disagree with Frank Bogart being considered a racist and being, thrown on the coals and whatever happened to him during that period of time, that these people feel as a veteran, and all these other things, that he was mistreated. Okay, so that's why they're here. So, if the commission, I think we should agendize what the commission wants to do, because it's I think, not gonna assuage them to say no comment. Right?
It's
So,
not up to us, though. Excuse me, Oliver, it is not up to us. It is now in the hands of the city attorney, and we should leave it as such.
no,
I disagree, Commissioner or Vice Chair
Yeah.
Shepherd. I think what's in front of the city attorney is how to respond to the Craig letter regarding copyright infringement. What these people are expressing to the Human Rights Commission is that they believe the report is flawed, and what are we, the 5 commissioners sitting around this table, going to do about it? And if we as a commission decide we're not going to do anything about it, they at least deserve to hear that formally from this commission. Otherwise, they're going to continue to come and ask, as Commissioner Clary mentioned, what are you going to do about the report? When is it going to be on the agenda? So that's.
and where are these documents appearing from and on the city's website? Is that true? That there's documents just spontaneously appearing in the city archive about, the human section 14? I mean, is that what's happening? Who's doing that?
Well,
Well, that seems a little odd. That someone is
Stay out of
responding
it.
about an issue that the Human Rights Commission created in our report, and somehow documents are appearing on the city's website about leasehold agreements and all these other things that go to the record that we produced, to contradict the record that we produced. I don't understand how that's happening.
I don't know how you want to proceed, but I think
It seems to
we
me,
either have to put it on the agenda or take a vote and say we as a commission are not prepared to review the existing report issued and cite the date, and there'll be no further discussions by this Human Rights Commission on it. Period.
I think we should agendize the discussion of how to respond, because
How to respond to what?
To the public.
Yeah, because,
Public's
yeah,
concerned
we need
about
to
this.
talk about it, because I think that,
Can we put that on the agenda?
Yeah.
For our next meeting?
we're gonna get people showing up to address that agenda item.
Well, we will.
And we should ask them,
And they
what
deserve
do
it.
they expect us to do about
Well,
it?
I think
They already told
I
us.
think they told.
I think they already told us what they expect us to.
Right, to retract the report. or to-
Retract.
They want a retraction or amend it.
So,
Right.
And
yeah.
we have to either decide we're gonna retract, amend, or do nothing. But they deserve to hear that from this commission.
Mhm.
All right. I think
Alright, so-
that's a good step.
All right, so we'll include that in the agenda. We're moving to agenda items for our next meeting. And that's a quick question. How are we gonna respond to the public, knowing that this city attorney is involved and this is above our pay grade? So
Right.
that would be one of the items. for
I think
discussion.
Ms. Shepherd's question about, is it in the city attorney's hand? I think she wants to know if the city attorney has kind of wants to take this item off of the commission's workforce.
Yes,
If it's the city attorney that is posting documents on the city's website about this issue, then they should come in and instruct us, we are not to discuss it. The city is telling us legally to hands off, and they should make a public record of that, if that's what's happening.
So we're gonna include that in the agenda. That's gonna be one of our key items, the response to the public. I also noted that we will need to bring more details, commissioners, for the summer camp. Okay,
Okay.
I've asked the commission to look into the basic income project for our members of the transgender and non-binary community. So if anyone wants to get involved and work with DAP Health, and we know we have already contacts with ClearWorks. So that's that. And then the final item that I see here that I noted is our participation in the Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast. As commission, which we haven't.
And what time is that?
It's a breakfast. It starts around 8 o'clock, Oliver, and it goes, there's musical numbers, there's presentations. They bring students from pretty much the entire valley. And it really is a fantastic program. And as I mentioned, we're gonna figure out a way to bring Lily with us. So hopefully everyone will be able to join us and we'll make this a commission.
Where do we
event.
stand on buying the table?
So that's a proposal for everyone. I know that because of Brown Act limitations, we can just email each other who's joining, etc. But maybe we could take a show of hands who plans to join right now. Who plans to join the breakfast and probably bring another person, so that 3 of us,
I would go,
we're gonna bring Lily.
but I'm
and
busy
Oliver.
at 10, so I have to leave by 10.
That's fine. So that's 4 of us. We didn't get a chance to ask Commissioner Flood. But we can certainly ask. So it sounds like 2, 4, 6. Are you gonna take 1 or 2? One, so that's 6 or 7. Lily is 8. Yes,
one.
so 1, 2, 4,
4, 5,
5, 6, 7.
7.
So we don't have
10,
enough,
right?
so we don't have enough for a table.
Are you
It's a
going?
table of 10.
And we're close to a table, but we have to need 10 for a table, right?
Otherwise, what happens? We just get seated at it.
Otherwise, we just buy our tickets individually and then we figure out a way to sit together. Mhm. And we can, Jay, I'm gonna send you the information so you can share with the commission at large, make sure everyone has this. So I'm not in violation of Brown Act. And with that, friends, I think this is the time where we need to move to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Clary and Commissioner Vignolo seconds that. So we are adjourning, the commission will adjourn to an adjourned regular meeting on Monday, April the 10th, 2023. Thank you very much and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Off to dinner.
Thank you. That was